Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating aspects of medieval life. How on earth did those massive stone castles keep their inhabitants from freezing solid during those brutal, deadly winters? It wasn't exactly central heating, was it? Imagine this. You're a medieval lord or lady, or even a humble servant. Outside, snow drifts high. The wind howls like a hungry wolf. And inside, well, it's a castle made of stone. Stone, as we know, gets incredibly cold and stays that way. So, how did they survive? It's a brilliant mix of ingenious design, simple physics, and a whole lot of effort. First off, let's bust a myth. Castles weren't always drafty, gaping wind tunnels. While some early, more utilitarian forts might have been, the grand residential castles of the High and Late Middle Ages were surprisingly sophisticated in their approach to warmth. One of the most fundamental strategies was location. Castles were often built in naturally sheltered spots, valleys behind hills, or even strategically placed to block prevailing winds. This was about defense, yes, but also about deflecting the worst of the weather before it even hit those thick walls. Then there's the architecture itself. Think about those incredibly thick stone walls, often several feet wide. These weren't just for stopping battering rams, they were fantastic insulators. During the day, the sun would warm the exterior, and the stone would slowly absorb that heat. At night, this thermal mass would then radiate that stored heat inwards, albeit slowly. It wasn't a quick fix, but it helped stabilize the internal temperature. Windows, or the lack thereof, played a huge role. Early castles had very few, if any, windows on lower levels, and those that existed were small slits. Later, as glass became more accessible, though still a luxury, windows were often fitted with wooden shutters, or even waxed linen, or animal bladder instead of clear glass. And these weren't just decorative. They were usually set deep within the wall, creating a kind of insulated recess, and were tightly shut at night or during severe weather. They also had internal wooden shutters, or heavy woven tapestries that could be closed to block drafts. Now for the real heroes of medieval warmth, fireplaces. Forget those tiny decorative hearths you see in modern homes. Medieval castle fireplaces were often enormous, especially in the Great Hall. They weren't just for cooking. They were massive heat sources, often large enough for several people to stand inside. The design was crucial. They had a wide opening to radiate heat into the room, and a tall, narrow chimney to draw smoke up and out. But how effective were they? A single roaring fire in the Great Hall could take the chill out of the air, making it more bearable, but it wouldn't exactly turn the place tropical. For more concentrated warmth, people would huddle close to the fire. And remember, the Great Hall wasn't heated just once a day. Fires would be stoked continually, often consuming vast amounts of wood. Beyond the Great Hall, private chambers and lords' apartments often had their own smaller, more efficient fireplaces. These were crucial. Imagine a lord's bedchamber, often located on an upper floor, sometimes within a tower, designed to be more private and, yes, warmer. The chimney from the fireplace in the chamber below could even pass through the floor of the room above, providing a bit of residual heat. Ingenious. Another lesser-known but brilliant heating method was the hypocauste system, a Roman invention sometimes resurrected or adapted in medieval Europe, particularly in monasteries or specific high-status rooms. This involved a raised floor under which hot air from a furnace circulated through channels. Think of it as an ancient form of underfloor heating. While not widespread in all castles, it demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of heat distribution. But what about warmth for the body directly? Clothing was paramount. Layers upon layers of wool, linen, and sometimes fur were the norm. Noble families would have luxurious furs, like ermine or sable, while common folk wore sheepskin and coarser wool. People didn't just wear clothing, they lived in it. Bedding was also vital. Thick wool blankets, fur throws, and even feather beds were used to trap body heat during sleep. Four-poster beds with heavy curtains weren't just for privacy. They created a microclimate of warmth around the sleeper, blocking drafts and retaining heat. Tapestries and hangings weren't just for decoration either. They served a vital purpose by insulating the walls, preventing drafts, and adding another layer of material to absorb and retain heat. Imagine a bare stone wall versus one covered floor to ceiling in thick, woven fabric. The difference in perceived warmth would be significant. These tapestries also help to dampen sound, making the castle feel a little less cavernous and a little more cozy. Speaking of cozy, what about hot water? While not for full body showers as we know them, hot water was essential. Huge cauldrons of water would be heated over fires for washing, bathing, and even for preparing hot drinks like mulled wine or ale, which would warm people from the inside out. Hot bricks or stones would sometimes be wrapped in cloth and placed in beds to warm them before sleep. A simple but effective method, similar to a hot water bottle. And let's not forget the power of community. People huddled together for warmth. Servants slept in common areas, often near the kitchen or great hall where residual heat lingered. Animals too, like dogs, could provide a bit of extra body heat. So, while medieval castles might not have been toasty warm by modern standards, the people who lived in them employed a sophisticated, multi-layered approach to survival. It was a combination of smart architectural design, constant fire management, clever insulation techniques, and robust personal preparation. It truly makes you appreciate the resilience and ingenuity of our ancestors, doesn't it? They weren't just building fortresses. They were creating living spaces that had to withstand the harshest elements. I hope you enjoyed this journey into medieval heating. It's incredible how much thought went into keeping warm centuries ago. If you learned something new, please hit that like button. Share this video with a fellow history buff, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating historical insights. We love having you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.